Welcome back to another pristine productions here. And we're going to be touching down on a new episode here at Pristine Production here. Shout out to all the subscribers hitting up the #1 YouTube page globally that touches you on soca, dancehall, reggae, afrobeat, R&B, rock music, techno music, whatever is your heart's desire. We got it at Pristine Productions. And today we're going to be touching down on a very nice topic today. We're going to be talking about mixing female dancehall vocals. And I want to make sure how you treat the female vocals, because girls are very touchy with their voice. And this tune is from Lady Ice. Let me bring it back here, and we're going to jump into it. It's Lady Ice, song entitles Boom, produced by me. Very talented young lady. So let's jump right into it here. I'm not going to get into the elements of this dancehall music, but this is a more authentic roots bounce dancehall kind of thing. This is not that kind of trap thing. This is solid dancehall music. So let's jump into the vocals here. So first is first here. I'm going to bring up Lady Ice vocal here. I'm going to bring up the bass line here. Now the pulse of the dancehall, I have a couple instruments here. Now this track here has a lot of elements, so we wanted her voice to compete with that. So let's jump right into it with the bass. Now she has a very a dynamic voice, but we need to push her a little bit more over the edge so her voice can cut through in the mix. So what I did, I did a little bit of power compression here. So let me go ahead and I'll show you what I did here. I'm gonna turn off some of the plugins here, and especially with the bass. Dancehall, you want to make sure your bass is nice and tight and subby. First thing is first, 1176. Now I'm knocking off about negative 10 dB. I'm taking about negative 10 dB on the compression here. You might say, man, Ray, you crazy. How can you do that, man? That's too much. Who says it's too much? You better wake up, man. This is 2020. Get that vocal popping. Now, I don't do this for all songs, but if it needs it, let's go with the feeling. So, let me bring up Lady Ice here. Having a fast release here on 1176 here, and also slow attack. I want to make the track breathe. Here's my EQ. Now I'm boosting a little bit of 7.69 here, 3 dB here, 7K. And also I'm cutting a little bit at 859, and I'm boosting about 17K at 3 dB. Just to open up the top a little bit here. Then I want to do a little bit of surge with EQ here, knocking off a little bit of resonant era here. Gives you a little bit of smoothness to the vocals.
Me right this spot, everybody know yeah, bro girl stay hot. We always keep it on locked. Every time we touch wood, we always stay on top.
And also I went to the SSL channel strip here.
boom, boom. Look how the abragal boom, boom, boom.
Now I will say this, guys. Whenever you're using multiple plugins, like for example, I'm using a Pro EQ here, and I'm using that in conjunction with the SSL channel strip. The reason why I'm doing this is certain EQ has a certain flavor of sound. So I use this clean EQ just to give it a little bit of enhancement here. I didn't want to saturate it just as yet. And if you notice here, I'm boosting about 7.69 a K and 17K. So on this SSL channel strip, I'm not going to boost the same thing here unless it's adding a certain sound. So I want to stay away from around that 7 area. So I'm going for the 8 over the side here, and I'm boosting about 7.8 dB at that frequency there, while I do a little bit of more roll off here, about 125. That's to keep things tight.
Boom,
So I'm going to turn on SSL channel strip here.
And I'm
getting that. That's opening up the top.
Ice cream always bringing it hot and direct. It's a girl lady ice bringing it.
So that's bringing up the top there for the vocal. Now here's the thing. Since we've opened up the top end at about 7 dB, about at 8K for Lady Ice, this introduced what you call resonance, like too much of the S's. So I have to get a de-esser on this on the lineup here.
When I walk in, them sit down for me name every day and I chat. I walk out, all of them have to look, make a few dollars. Everybody want figure look, knock me eye for me grind us like a real cook.
So I'm taking off the S's now, and it's kind of dulling the sound a little bit. So I'm gonna grab another SSL channel strip here, and we're gonna be focused on the 5K because I felt like her voice needed a little bit more presence.
Backstabbing, give me no like if I do with ice crew, then I know you top fly miss.
So I'm getting back that clarity without having too much of the S's. So that's the reason why I use a Pro EQ first, get a clean sound first with a little bit of 7K, a little bit of 17K, and then I did a little bit of surgery on the Q10, and then I switched to SSL channel strip, boosted a little bit of 8K, which bring out more clarity, which introducing a little S's. So I went ahead and DS, which entails dulling the sound back a little bit, not by a whole much. So I grab a hold of the 5K range at about 3.7 dB, and we're back in the ballpark.
I seen a cup, me say drinks all night.
So I hope you're following. And also I'm using a little bit of RX from Ozone to take out some of the little clicks and a little pop in her mouth. So use that. Let's get some of the drums pumping. Now since our voice is going to be competing with more instruments here, I'm going to bring in some more instruments. I'm going to show you why I had to use the NLS here. So as you can hear, the more elements come in the song, the more her voice is starting to compete. So I draw for the NLS. Let's switch to stereo. NLS from Waves here, which models the console here. I'm going to turn this on. It's going to bring her voice a little bit more present without using any EQ or volume. Using harmonics. Off. And then after that, I went for another EQ here, just taking out a little bit of resonance here. And then I'm using another compressor here, which is let me turn. I'm sorry, guys. Let me turn this off here. Why do I have this on? I don't think that belongs there. No, that doesn't belong there. Sorry about that, guys. So now we have her voice competing with the elements here. So I'm going to bring in the doubles now, which is going to swim around her vocals. Now I'm having what I did. I sampled her vocals, and she said "cha" in the intro. So I said, "Hey, that's a good idea. Let's use that in the dancehall track, right?" And I use a little bit of sampling here with the sound "hey." Cause she wanted a real dancehall bounce, something that the lady's gonna move their hips to, you know. So now to create a space here, I went ahead and sent her vocals through the doubler on a external on a bus track here. Just introduce a little bit more space, a little bit of reverb. And then I also want to use some of the delay in our ping pong mode to give her a little bit more width. Now you can hear her vocal is cutting through nice. The leads and the doubles is taking precedence here, and you can hear the space here. I'm going to send her vocals through the more further here to do a little bit of harmony stuff. Now for certain parts here, when she says boom boom boom, I went ahead and went straight on one of her lines here, and I put an effect directly on her vocals. The manipulator. It's the manipulator from Polyverse. And when she says boom boom boom, check this out. Boom 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 boom. Look how everybody does a stop. Boom boom boom. And I also added a little bit of effect there, a little bit of high pass. You know, just to be creative, guys. You got to be creative in dancehall. And the main thing about this tutorial here is, since you're dealing with female dancehall, you don't want to change their voice. You don't want to mess it up, producers. You don't want the vocal to sound like it's boxy, because the singer's gonna notice that, like, I don't sound like this. Why do I sound like this? And you're like, your voice needs a little bit of enhancement. You want it to sound natural. You want to make it sound natural and great with a little bit of sauce on it. Like I said, I boosted some high end here. I didn't went to any mid frequency there, because I don't feel like she needed it. I just stuck with the highs here to bring out the natural tone, so her voice can cut through the mix, and a little bit of harmonics here, which warms up the mid range as well. Gives Lady Ice the power she needs to cut through the mix. And of course, I'm doing a little bit of dangerous EQ mastering here, a little bit of widening here. So I want to leave that with you guys. The main thing here is when you're dealing with dancehall female vocalists, make sure you keep the voice natural. Don't do a whole lot of things and change alter the sound of their voice, because they're going to be pissed, and you're going to mess up your credentials here. You're the professional, so you got to make sure you assess their voice, understand the characteristics of their voice, what plugins complement their voice. Lady I's voice loves the 1176, and 1176 loves her voice as well. So you want to make sure you build on that sound. Don't really change it. Keep it natural, but having it cut through the mix. So, and I'm using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 10 instances of plugins on one vocal track, just to give you that nice feel. So I'm going to stop there. This is Lady Ice. And I have a lot of elements in this song here. I have some rock guitar here going, to create that big dancehall feel. So I'm going to stop there, guys. Remember to support my page, and also you can support me by donating $5. And here is my routing number right here and account number right here on my About page. help me to buy equipment, guys. I'm trying to get my own computer and stuff, so I don't have to rent stuff, and so I will appreciate that support. Reach out to me, guys. So thank you for tuning in. Pristine Production here, mixing female dancehall vocals. I'll catch you on the next.